Take a look at this traffic flow. Nothing special, right? Now, let's drop in just one element. Instantly, this car stands out. The secret? Its sharp, boxy body lines. That got me wondering, why exactly do square-shaped cars grab our attention so much? And so, I set out to answer the question, why do we love boxy cars? At first, I turned to psychology. People instinctively prefer smooth, rounded shapes because sharp angles are subconsciously associated with danger. Think spikes or fangs. Curves look friendly and safe, while jagged outlines can trigger caution or even a sense of threat. But that's only half the story. Humans are also wired to crave novelty. When our eyes get used to soft and flowing forms, a sudden angular object snaps us out of autopilot with its sheer boldness. Studies in automotive design show that public taste swings like a pendulum. After years of dominance by rounded design, sharp lines suddenly feel fresh and edgy, and the cycle flips again. That's why a boxy car creates a double effect. On the one hand, it excites us with its aggression, while on the other, it cuts through the monotony of aerodynamic lookalikes on the road, catching the eye with its refusal to blend in. And let's not forget the personality traits that we project onto cars. A vehicle with chiseled contours feels tougher, more dominant, even a little menacing. And many drivers, knowingly or not, gravitate towards cars with an aggressive face to get that sense of power. No wonder marketers keep giving cars distinctive faces. And when the audience craves something brawny, a sharp predatory front often wins out over cute and rounded curves. Boxy retro renaissance, nostalgia for the classics. Have you noticed how strongly retro boxy designs are making a comeback in today's car styling? Automakers figured out that buyers miss the spirit of classic SUVs and sedans of the past, and they're milking that nostalgia. It's a powerful sales driver. For many, a square car instantly brings back warm memories of the iconic model of the 70s and 80s, when design was simple, bold, and instantly recognizable. These throwbacks strike an emotional chord not just with collectors, but also with everyday drivers who remember how it used to be. No surprise then that we're seeing more angular silhouettes on the road again, as if they've driven right off the posters of a bygone era. Let's take a look at a few examples. Ford Bronco, the cult SUV of the 1960s, was reborn in 2021. The new Bronco was deliberately styled after the original. Round headlights, boxy body, and became a smash hit among buyers craving that real adventurous vibe. Its success made it clear how hungry people were for retro design.
Go anywhere, climb anything, sports car. Extra clearance underneath.
Remember the Land Rover Defender? The legendary British off-roader was discontinued in 2016, only to be revived in 2020. The designers managed to preserve the old Defender spirit while adding modern tech and comfort. The result? The new Defender instantly became a global bestseller, thanks in large part to its faithful square roots. Suzuki Jimny. This compact Japanese SUV got a facelift in 2018, and sales skyrocketed precisely because of its old-school look. The little square body, basically a G-Class in 1:2 scale, charmed young buyers and city dwellers alike, turning the Jimny into a style icon. But what if a brand doesn't have a historic square in its lineup? Well, the Koreans showed how angular design alone can create a wow effect. Take the Hyundai Santa Fe 2024 edition. This crossover used to be as rounded as hundreds of others, but in its latest generation, Hyundai suddenly went boxy, almost squared off. Analysts note this was inspired by the success of the Bronco and Jimny. Add squareness to stand out. And it worked. The new Santa Fe now pops in traffic, channeling that rugged SUV energy, even though it's still an urban crossover at heart. The practical side of boxy shapes. Form follows function. Beyond emotion, square cars have a simple, practical appeal. It turns out, boxy bodies aren't just aesthetic, they're useful too. So I came up with a few key advantages that these cars have. Spacious interiors and more room for passengers. A box-shaped body makes it easier to give people more headroom and legroom. High ceilings and upright walls create the feel of a roomy cabin, even in compact models. No wonder family minivans used to be so boxy. It was the easiest way to fit a third row of seats and make sure everyone had a comfortable spot. A rectangular car profile maximizes cargo space. You can load in way more stuff without losing room in the corners. A tall, square trunk easily swallows a fridge, a wardrobe, or a mountain of suitcases. Things that would never fit into a sloping hatch with a curved roofline. For active people, travelers, or anyone hauling gear, that's a huge advantage. It turns the car into a house on wheels where everything fits. Excellent visibility. One of the often forgotten perks of old-school boxy cars is their big windows and slim pillars. Large, flat panes of glass give the driver a wide view, while the clear edges of the body make it easier to judge the dimensions. In classic SUVs of the 80s, you feel like you're sitting in a glass booth. You can see everything around you. Even today, many square models try to keep a high seating position and upright windshield for better road visibility. Fewer blind spots mean more confidence on tight city streets and in parking lots. And those sharp body corners, well, they help you aim precisely when parking. You know exactly where the car ends, so the odds of scraping something are lower. One of the first arguments against boxy cars is, but they're not aerodynamic. And sure, from the standpoint of airflow, a square isn't ideal. Drag is much higher on a rolling brick than on a smooth teardrop. That means higher fuel consumptions at highway speeds and more wind noise. No wonder the auto industry in the late 80s and 90s moved en masse from angles to curves. New regulations and rising fuel prices demanded better efficiency, so rounded shapes took over. Paradoxical. You'd think that in an era of sky-high fuel prices and electric cars, aerodynamics would rule supreme to squeeze every mile out of a gallon of gas or a battery charge. Instead, we're seeing the opposite. Boxy silhouettes are back, angles are celebrated, and they're defying the laws of airflow. Manufacturers, for example, after the US introduced fuel economy standards, CAFE, automakers changed designs within just a few years. Models morphed from the blocky bricks of the 80s into the sleek soap bars of the 90s. The wind tunnel became the designer's best friend, starting in the mid-80s. That's why the 1986 Ford Taurus looked like an alien compared to its angular rivals, and ended up setting a new trend. But today, the situation is paradoxical. You'd think that in an era of sky-high fuel prices and electric cars, aerodynamics would rule supreme to squeeze every mile out of a gallon of gas or a battery charge. Instead, we're seeing the opposite. Boxy silhouettes are back, angles are celebrated, and they're defying the laws of airflow. Manufacturers, of course, don't ignore physics, but they compromise between efficiency and style. First, image and demand rule. If the public wants a brutish square SUV, a company will gladly sacrifice a perfect drag coefficient for the sake of design. As one reviewer put it, rising fuel prices and the EV boom didn't push people towards teardrop cars in uncertain times. Buyers want to feel safe, so they chose square, tough-looking vehicles, even at the cost of some efficiency. Technology has softened the drawbacks. Today's bricks aren't quite like the old ones. Engineers use clever tricks, active aero features, grills that close on the highway, spoilers and flaps that deploy at speed. These help reduce drag. The underbody is carefully smoothed to guide airflow. Super streamlined side mirrors or even cameras instead of mirrors are standard. And EVs can afford to trade aerodynamics for style, making up for it with battery capacity. Take the Rivian R1S or the Hummer EV. They're as boxy as wardrobes, but their powerful motors and massive batteries deliver respectable range. Plus, in city driving, aerodynamics matter far less at 0 to 30 miles per hour. Body shape hardly affects consumption. That's why a city SUV can look squared off without it being a major drawback. In the end, the love affair with square cars is a complex phenomenon. Angular cars captivate us because they hit multiple layers of perception. Psychologically, sharp lines give us a fresh jolt of sensation, breaking us away from the crowd. Emotionally, they fuel nostalgia for a bygone era, stirring warm memories of youth or the golden age of car design. Socially, and in marketing, these cars project strength, toughness, and confidence, qualities people sometimes crave in today's uncertain world. And on a purely practical level, a boxy body often just works better for life, whether that means hauling stuff or seeing the road clearly.